Hey, what's up, guys? This is Johnny, and welcome to episode 36 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here live from Hawaii, I guess, with Michael. Michael Coghlan, is that how you say your name?
Coghlan, yeah,
Coghlan?
It's close enough.
Cool, I appreciate you hopping on this call. So, where in Hawaii are you, actually?
I'm actually on the Big Island, the actual island called Hawaii. I live in Hilo, and so it's the second largest city in Hawaii.
Okay, cool. So the reason why I wanted to have you on this show today, I was originally going to wait until you got out here to Chiang Mai, but I've been following your progress thread on Anton's forums, and even I was really inspired, and I figured, why not have you on now while it's in the works, and there's a lot of excitement going on.
Yep.
So in today, I basically want to talk about three main things. The first is how you're making money through your dropshipping stores. The second is how you figured out how to make money writing for hotels. I think that's pretty cool. And third, what your plans are, because you live, in Hawaii. Actually, let's start with that. If you live in such a great place like Hawaii, what makes you want to move out to Thailand?
And I think, that is the thing. I am trading, from my house, I can literally drive to the beach in like 10 minutes, maybe 5, without traffic. We're in Chiang Mai. Obviously, I'm nowhere near beaches, but I think the thing is if I really want to grow this business, I'm the only person that I know here in Hawaii doing this.
Okay.
I'm sure there are other people trying drop shipping in Hawaii, but I don't know them. I can't hang out with them. I can't talk to them constantly. And so, I think just from a business standpoint, if I really, really want to kind of take my stores to the next level and have a nice passive income stream, I think I have to be around people who are trying to do that 24/7.
And that definitely makes sense. And also, I'm assuming that, there'll be less responsibility out here as well. I don't know what it's like in Hawaii, but out here, basically you wake up, you go to a co-working space and you just work on whatever business you're working on. And when you get home, your room is cleaned. If you're hungry, you just go to a restaurant. I mean, you never have to do any actual responsibilities.
Yeah, that's definitely a nice thing. I mean, the fact that I never have to worry about laundry again, I just drop it off, I can eat out. I mean, I think that's definitely a nice thing. And also, I mean, the cost of living is pretty drastic from, Hawaii is pretty expensive, especially compared to places like Thailand.
I've heard that the cost of food in Hawaii is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, on sale, the thing that always blows everyone's mind that I tell them is milk, a gallon of milk on sale is like $5.50 here in Hawaii. And if it's not on sale, it can get as high as like $9-10.
That's insane.
Yeah. And so that's definitely one thing.
So I know you have a kid. Are you married as well?
I'm not. I have a daughter who's 11 months old, and so that is another reason that I got into this. And so I know a ton of people are usually single or whatnot to kind of have that independent lifestyle. But the other aspect that I find so intriguing about this is that while it's great to have that independent lifestyle, it also would allow parents just more time to spend with their kids.
That's actually a great point, and that was the other reason why I wanted to have you on. You just have a really good overall story. You're not this, young single guy who is just, decided to give everything up and start traveling. You actually have a family to think about, and you're absolutely right. Where if you're working on your business, let's say even if you work 8 hours a day, at least you can do it from home. And if your daughter wants to play, or you want to, just take a 15 or 30-minute break just to hang out, you can. Unlike if you have to commute to your office, work all day, and then you get home, you don't see your kids at all.
Oh, for sure. I mean, just a kind of example of like a normal day for me. I personally am a bit of a night owl just because while my daughter's up, I mean, she's making noise and stuff. It is harder to work unless I leave the house, and I think the goal is to try to spend more time with her. And if I'm leaving the house to go to, an office or a library or whatever, for 8 hours a day, that kind of defeats the purpose. And so, I'll usually probably wake up around like 11 a.m. And I'll have lunch. I'll spend time with daughter, with my girlfriend. After that, I'll answer some emails. I'll work on oDesk for a little bit. And then I will have dinner, go for like an afternoon walk, take her to the playground, do all kinds of stuff like that. When I come back, we'll have dinner, and then that's actually when I actually start to go to work. And so right around 9 p.m. is when I start working. And I'll work 9 p.m. to about 2 a.m. Sometimes it's super inspired. I work to about 4 a.m. And I pass out, and I, kind of do it all over again. Just because at night, at least if I'm working at home, it's, peace and quiet. Everyone's sleeping. No one's bothering me. Get the most work done.
I like it. It sounds like an ideal day. So what were you doing for work before you got into online business?
Well, I had two things, I guess. This is actually, the online business is actually, I guess, my second business I've ever started.
Okay.
My first business, first off, I was a Division I volleyball coach, assistant volleyball coach. I started off coaching here in Hawaii at a Division II, and our teams did pretty well. So we got offered a couple Division I jobs as a coaching staff. I got to travel to Maryland, to South Carolina, and to Ohio, all to coach for Division I programs. And every program we coached at, we left it in a better place before moving on to, I guess, a kind of a bigger and better job. Mm-hmm. And during my stay in Maryland, I actually, along with the head coach who I was working with, we started up a volleyball club, the first volleyball club ever and only to be sponsored by Under Armour.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I didn't know Under Armour is actually founded in Maryland. And so they didn't, Nike has a volleyball team, Adidas has a volleyball team sponsored. They didn't have a team like that. And so we pitched the idea to them and we got them to back us. And when that happened, I had this kind of dream of building this huge facility, like a huge sports complex with like 4 volleyball courts, indoor basketball court, indoor turf field, just the whole works, and running the volleyball club out of there. And long story short, I accomplished it. I didn't get any investors. I found all the funding without having to pay anyone back. I didn't owe a debt to anyone. It was me and 2 other partners. And unfortunately, one of the partners, we were probably, in the first 6 months, we had over $600,000 in revenue. And the third partner, who I didn't know that well, but he was from Maryland, he knew the area well, was my head coach and his third partner. He unfortunately got a bit greedy and tried to force us out of the business. And everything ended up collapsing, kind of selling off our stuff. And that's the main reason why I got into online drop shipping or was the fact that I didn't want to have to worry about partners for a while,
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It's nice to be your own boss.
Your success is, your success counts on you. If you put in 12 hours a day for 2 weeks straight, that's your choice. If you work an hour a day for 2 months straight to take longer to get results, that's your choice, but it's all on you. And that's really what drew me to this program.
Yeah, I like it. All right. So you're saying that the reason why you got into dropshipping is because you wanted to be your own boss and you wanted really just take control of your own, I guess, financial destiny. I absolutely agree that not having partners really it forces you to do the work, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people fail is they expect other people to do the work for them, and it's a big mindset change when you're stuck in a situation and you know that you have to really be personally responsible to do the work. Why do you think that you are successful with your stores and a lot of people aren't?
I would think that, I think a couple things. One, I think I personally try to reach out to people who have been there and done it before. I wouldn't say, I guess, like a mentor kind of program, but I definitely want to hear how everyone's kind of stores are unique in their own way to kind of pick and choose, the kind of things that I think will work for my particular stores. And then I guess the other thing is just the kind of driving force I have is that if I want to I obviously have a family to take care of, and I have to be able to support them. I think, the way I view them being, that they should be supported, and that's giving them everything that they could ever possibly want. And that really drives me to work hard. Obviously some days I get lazy, but every time a new sale comes in or every time a new supplier that I've been really wanting approves me, that kind of spark just kicks right back up, and you pull out one of those 15-hour work days out of nowhere, and you get a ton done.
Yeah, what's crazy is, so my stores have been around for about a year now, and for a while I was coasting. I think if anyone checked my blog between November to, I would say, February, I was kind of just on vacation mode. I was traveling around like Cambodia, Vietnam, and I was still maintaining, I was still doing some work, but during that time I honestly didn't really try to grow any of my businesses. And It was actually after reading your thread on Anton's forums that something kind of kicked me in the butt. I was excited again. And last night I stayed up until, it wasn't even that late. It was probably like 10:30 at night. But because of the time zone difference, I couldn't call new suppliers until the middle of the night. And I got approved by another supplier. And this morning, I filled out the applications. I just sent it in right before this call. And now I'm excited again because I have another 40 products I can add to my sites.
Yep. And I completely feel you on that. Because Hawaii's 6 hours behind. Most of my suppliers, for some reason, happen to come from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like staying up to 3 a.m. to call them at 9 a.m. right when they open, to try to get a crack at them. So I feel you on that time difference.
But I think it's worth it. I mean, it would be easier if I was, let's say I was in Texas or something, or even back in California and I was in the same time zone. But when I'm there, I'm not more productive. I mean, even though I have access to call and, whenever I want, when I'm out here, I want it bad enough where I'm willing to stay up until midnight. I'm willing to wake up at 6 a.m. once in a while to make these calls. And I think that is one of the reasons why, even though technically it's harder for people in a different time zone, often they're more successful because they just want it bad enough.
Oh, and I would agree. I mean, I think the added bonus to staying up is that you've obviously got to do something with that time. If you just pop in a movie, there's a chance you might fall asleep. Well, if you're staying up, working on your stores, etc., as you're waiting to make that call, I think you end up getting more work done as well.
I definitely agree with that. So so there's a lot of people on these forums. So for those who haven't actually checked the site, you can go to antonmethod.com. How actually did you find his dropshipping course?
To be honest, I cannot remember. It might have been Warrior Forums. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I might have just been. Really, what happened was after that main volleyball business, I just realized we got to split. This partnership isn't going to work. It's all going to go down in flames if we go and stay in any longer. I just was kind of on the internet one night, just kind of cruising through and looking, and happened to stumble across it, and it's just the pit. I mean, everything seemed genuine to me, and I was like, give it a shot. I know it has the money back guarantee, and it has delivered 10 times, 100 times, what I expected I would be getting out of the course. I mean, I literally could not be more grateful that I happened to find the Anton method.
I see so many people on the forums, and a lot of the people that post on there actively are ones that are either just starting out or they're asking questions, and they're not making any sales yet. And the people that actually do make sales, I actually don't see them post ever. So
yeah.
I'm really glad that you're one of the people who is making sales and actually still helping other people out. And what made you decide to do that instead of just kind of hoarding it or just leaving it alone?
Really, it was probably because of you and Anton. First off, I mean, with you, when I first started off, I didn't sign up through your blog or anything like that. I found your blog afterwards, and I checked that daily and stuff, but you didn't know me at all. You didn't know anything about me, and I asked for your help, and you took the time out of your day to go on to my site and give me a full critique of what I needed to do. And then secondly was Anton. I was actually just looking this up right before the call. I have an email list of him, I guess back and forth with him, where we've broken 100 back and forth emails, and that's just a single thread.
Wow.
And the fact that he could have just taken the money. He has a great program even without emailing me, and it would have been worth it. But the fact that he went above and beyond to write me personally that many times, and again, it's much more than that. That's just the longest thread I personally found, and we have multiple threads going. Just how someone could want to help a person they don't even know that much was such a different feeling from my partnership that just went sour for my old business that I want to try to do the same for as much as I can help people.
And I definitely think that your thread is helping people because what it is for those who aren't part of the program is when you sign up for Anton's course, you get access to the private member forums, and people started posting these progress threads. Unfortunately, they're all called the same thing. They're all called my progress step by step.
My progress so far.
Yeah. So it's a little bit hard to find differentiate them, but they're really nice because people will basically outline every single step they did. I'm looking at yours right now, and you started it in September 2nd, 2013. So that's how many months ago is that? That's about 7 months ago, 8 months ago.
I think 8.
Yeah, and the first sentence says, "Hi all, my name is Michael, and I just joined last night. I was born and raised in Hawaii, and looking to try my hand at something different in the internet marketing world." And it goes on, and basically, people welcome you. Then you started stating what you did. You're like, okay, Today, started my website, added the content, added in 10 categories, put 5 products, yada yada, and it's been going on for 8 months, and you still update it, but like pretty often, like almost every day I see.
Yeah, I try to do at least every other day, and I try to post in the forums for sure at least every other day. Sometimes it's a couple of days long, but I try to get every other day at least.
And what I really like about these threads is, like, even for me, I forgot what I did a year ago when I started, but it's really easy to go back or just send someone, like let's say someone just starting out, if they asked me, hey, what should I do today? What should I do after this step? I actually won't remember, but I can tell them, hey, just look at my thread, and they can see exactly what I did, and they can basically replicate it with their own niche.
Oh, for sure, and that's something I actually like as well. Is I'll probably reread your thread probably once every 6 weeks or so, just because is there something I missed? Did Johnny do something differently? Et cetera, et cetera. And surprisingly enough, I still find things that my stores don't have that yours do every time I read through it. So it's something I think everyone should do just every now and then.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea to basically just follow someone else's success. Is like with like Anton's course, I think the people that do well are the ones that just follow it. Just they watch the videos, they're like, okay, let me just do exactly what he's saying. And the people that don't do well, often they're trying to take a shortcut right from the beginning.
Yeah, and I would agree, and that's like one of my stores right now. Anton always says to really get down to like a specific product, and I told him I'm going to try a department style store, which sells a ton of products. And for example, like my AdWords for some reason has just exploded over the last like month, and what was a profitable store has turned like barely into the red because I have. I've been spending like $80 to $100 a day on AdWords.
Wow, that's a lot, actually.
Yeah, but if I just, I was doing a little bit of, kind of research into my store. I was just letting it go, just to see, because I think you have to test things every now and then. And if I had cut out just a single kind of collection, as I have about 12 on top of my site, if I just cut out a single one, I would have been in the green $1,000.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And if I cut out like a couple others, I would have been right around $2,000 to $2,500. So it's just knowing that, I really do recommend to everyone focus in on a single product now that I've been through it.
But also, it does make sense that by you starting with this kind of department style store. So an example of that would be like an Overstock.com where they sell everything. I guess the good thing about that is you got to see what does sell, and then you can niche down from there.
For sure, and I think that's like something, my best seller right now, where I get about 80% of my sales, I never would have guessed, that would have been it. I never would have thought this would sell well. But because I had this huge department style store, I guess I found out. The thing I would caution people is, if you want to try the department style store, that's fine. But I'd recommend keeping it at one store. I'd opened up to 5 stores at one point. But a department, like a store with 12 collections, basically is basically 12 stores. Try to focus in on one at first and then move on to others if you're going to go that big that quickly.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And for people that are doing a US based dropship store, I really think there's no reason to to go that route because it's just too much, and you don't want to have to blow all your money on ads because a lot of people that start this don't have a huge wallet to to mess around with. They want they have $500 to get started, and they're like, okay, well, let me make some money before I actually start spending money on ads. So I do think that in that case, it's a better idea just to have one niche that you're in control of it, so it doesn't get out of control. But for people that actually are from other countries and they're starting a store, let's say in Australia or the Europe, and they're not sure if they can find dropship suppliers just because there's not as many out there, sometimes I actually do recommend that they start with a kind of a generic, overstock style store, just to get suppliers and see if they can even, see if they can find dropship suppliers in the niches that they're looking for.
Oh, and I would have to assume that the competition's got to be has to be less in some of the foreign countries, and so that's definitely a plus as well.
Oh, there's almost no competition. I mean, we're taking a look. My girlfriend's from South Africa, and she was looking into starting a dropship store there, and there's literally only 3 websites that sell anything online. So nice. If she became the 4th, I mean, and in the beginning it's a lot harder to grow because it just doesn't have the infrastructure for it. But I mean, it's almost like saying, imagine if you started e-commerce 10 years ago before Amazon and Overstock, got a foothold, and you could have been, instead of starting with shoes, you could have started with, instead of starting with shoes like Zappos or starting with books like Amazon. Let's say you started with, like whatever you sell, like furniture or something, and you slowly became the next Amazon. I mean, and if you started 10 years ago, there's a huge chance that could have happened.
Oh, for sure. I completely agree.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about today was, I do want to get back to the dropshipping because I do think it's really interesting. But for people who aren't, even interested in dropshipping, the other way that you've figured out to make money online while you're working on these stores is super cool. And it's basically you're writing descriptions for hotels. How can you tell me about that?
Yeah, and so basically, over this past month, when I saw my kind of AdWords explode, obviously with myself and a family to support, I can't be breaking even. While I'm fine with that for kind of testing things, growing the business, moving in a better direction, just realistically, you have to be bringing money in to support your family. And I was looking at a couple other things online of what I could do. I've never worked really a day job like that. I don't want to do that. And so I kind of fell upon oDesk, and the reason I chose oDesk, there's I think freelancer.com, but oDesk seems a lot more geared towards like native English speakers, where freelancers a lot more like people from India or other places. They just kind of drive the rate so low it's not worth it for your time. And so on oDesk, basically all you do is you kind of just create a profile, take a couple English tests to show what you can do, and it's completely free to you. There's no cost to sign up. There's no like premium package or anything like that. I mean, it's completely free, where Freelancer actually takes money from you from every job. oDesk doesn't do that. They take it from the employers instead. And from there, you get to choose 10 categories that you feel are your biggest strengths in life, and I guess strengths and skills. And based on those 10 categories, it will tell you the most recent jobs posted, and you can just scan through them. And quite a few of them obviously aren't paying that great because they're hoping, I think, people from India or the Philippines or whatever will kind of grab them and take it at a much lower rate. But the hotel description job that I got was, I think it was $12 per description for a 200-word description, which 200 words is nothing. You can write 10 of those or so in an hour, no problem. And so this particular job was for all the hotels in Australia. And that job actually just recently ended, and I have a new hotel site. I'm using the same person's hiring me again at a raise this time. And we're now doing all the hotels in Fiji. And the great thing is, if you happen to land with a long-term employer, it kind of just, they keep bringing you back. There's usually not more than a week break, and it's all the work you can handle at once. So if you want to just, go to the nearest coffee shop, sit down, set up shop, work for 12 hours straight, and rep out 100 descriptions in a single day, you can do that, and then you're done for maybe a couple days. Um,
That's really cool. I mean, and so let's say somebody actually wanted to sit down and work for 8 hours. I mean, how much can they actually get paid per hour doing that?
I think it depends. Like the new job that I have in between right now pays about double, but it's for 1,200 words now. Um, and I sit down. My goal basically is in Chiang Mai, I want to have about $3,000 a month that I can just use for me and my family. I just don't want to worry about like, oh, I will have to budget this or budget that. It's just if I want to go eat here, I'm going to eat there. If my family wants to stay in a nice place, we're going to stay in a nice place.
Yeah, speaking of
And I
which,
figured,
the hotel that you're looking at in Chiang Mai is awesome. It's brand new. It's
yeah,
on the coolest
the
street.
mirror,
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
beautiful.
Blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I've found it.
Yeah,
And what was it, like 500 a month or something ridiculous?
yeah, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
like how much would a place like that in Hawaii be?
Well, on my island, we're one of the, I guess, the cheaper islands. That would be, I can't see that going for under 1,000 before utilities and internet and all that stuff. After all that, that's probably up to 1,400. But on Oahu, the kind of is where all the tourism is. I can't see going for under that one bedroom, 1,500, 1,800. I don't know. It's a third of the price at least in Chiang Mai. It's
'cause
crazy.
a place like that's brand new and also in such a good location. In California, I would say it'd be at least 2,000, and then in New
Yeah.
York, that place would be at least 3,000.
And I doubt that's with the cleaning that they do twice a week or the laundry service you can add or all that stuff too.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So, it is great to have this. They call it location arbitrage, where you're still making basically a U.S. wage, but you can live out here and work from wherever you want because there's no set hours or anything for that oDesk gig.
No, and so basically what I do is for this new gig, my goal is basically just to get $100 a day. I do that, and I call it quits. Every now and then, if there's something like I want to get, like for example, I had to get my girlfriend and my daughter needed their passports. They don't have any, and so I had to get the passports because in Hawaii you have to expedite them because I still have to get the visas and everything for Thailand. Came out to about $400.
Okay.
And so I just, for 2 days straight, I just doubled my work time and just to get paid. But for $100 a day for my current job, I work between 2 hours and 15 minutes to 3 hours, like on a day if I'm not focused. And that will get me $100.
And that is great. And that's actually more than a lot of people make
Yeah.
working a normal job.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
I don't actually understand these hotel descriptions. So you're not actually going to the hotels. I mean, how do you get the information to write this?
So basically, every job will vary, but usually your client will give you, like for the hotel job, I was given a list of 10 hotels. And what I did was they tell you to go to the actual website and to kind of learn about it and then to write a new selling, compelling kind of description about it. I kind of found out that if I did this myself, where I have to keep clicking back and forth between tabs and all that kind of stuff, a description would take me like 30 minutes.
Okay.
But if I had, for example, I had my girlfriend go beforehand. So if I get a list of 20, I'll watch my daughter for an hour, which is great because I get to spend some time with her. I'll take her to the park, do whatever. And my girlfriend will work for about an hour where she will just list like the main 15 things about the hotel. How many bedrooms it has. Is it a 4-star, 5-star hotel? Is there dining nearby? That kind of stuff. And then when I get back, that takes her about an hour for about 20 hotels. When I get back and I see that, and all I have to do is type in Word, just looking at that, the hotel descriptions, I rep them out in maybe 5 to 10 minutes max, each one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it really, both kind of work together. So together to do maybe 20 hotels, it's not taking us more than, 3 hours, 4 hours. And I think 20 hotels would pay at the old rate was paying almost $250.
And I think that's a great way where you and your girlfriend can sit down together and and have this location independent business together. Because I think a lot of times, in a relationship, the guy really wants to go gun ho with this this online business, and a lot of times the girlfriend says, I don't have any technical experience, I don't have any internet experience, But they do. I mean, every single girl I know can, loves to browse hotel websites and, and dream about where to travel to.
Yeah, so, where we're going to take them.
And all you're really asking them to do is write down 10 or 15 things they like about that hotel.
Yep, exactly. And I think the nice thing is, too, is I've been talking to a couple members who have girlfriends, and the thing kind of holding them back from moving to a place like Chiang Mai is their girlfriend, because if you don't see money coming in from this business yet, and you have it is hard, I think, to just pick up and leave. But I think what is a nice compromise is where I hate doing the oDesk work because it's not what I want to be focusing on my stores. I know it brings in money, and I know it keeps, I think, my kind of girlfriend at peace, knowing that even if the stores aren't going well as I'm working on them, we have $100, $200, however much a day coming in steady income. So it kind of, I think, alleviates that kind of worry from them, from her particularly, about taking a leap to, a foreign country.
And it's great as a backup too, because so let's say your dropship stores start doing really well and you start making $5,000 a month from it. You might stop doing these oDesk gigs completely because you want to enjoy your time. But
yep.
If for whatever reason, the traffic stops coming in, or you have a slow month, you can always just pick that back up again.
For sure. And that's the thing is oDesk literally has, I think every day there's, in my 10 categories, I think there's, 100 new jobs posted. Of that, I probably want to do 10 of them. I don't want to do all of them because some of them are quite low paying. But just the fact that I could just literally, like you said, hop on, find a job within a day and be right back to work. It is nice. I think the other thing that I forgot to mention is with oDesk, they hold the money for, I think, like 2 to 3 business days. But once it's kind of released into your account, you can send it to your PayPal account instantly. There's no delay on anything like that. So I have a PayPal debit card for my business. Mm-hmm. And so like the oDesk money, if it's in my account, literally right now, I could send it over, it'd be in my account in 5 minutes, and I can go use my debit card at McDonald's or Walmart or pay my hotel room, whatever. It's done instantly. And so that is a very nice thing to have when you want that money coming quickly, not having to wait, 2-3 weeks to get it, like a normal job.
So if somebody's unemployed right now and they're like, okay, I need money to pay rent, they can go look for a job, and it's going to take a few weeks to find, get an interview, and then you have to wait around for a few weeks to get that job approved, and you start working, and you still don't get a paycheck for another 2 weeks after that. So this idea is actually great for anyone who needs money, basically right away. Because let's say you've never done this before, and you're like, I need some cash online. I'm going to quit my job today. How long realistically would it take you to fill out your oDesk profile, find a job, apply for it, do the gig, and start getting paid?
I would say I had mine done within a day. I had mine, I don't know if you've never been around a computer before, it might take you a little bit longer, but the oDesk profile is very straightforward. It takes you by a step-by-step kind of process. Like, thank you for filling out your name. We'd like to direct you to some of the skill tests to take now. After your skill test, now that you've done this, we'd like to encourage 5 things that we feel would work for you. It's very direct. It tells you, exactly where to go. And usually employers get back to you within, I found it best to, if the job's more than 2 days old, don't apply to it. They've already hired someone. And the nice thing is actually, if you click on top of a job, it'll show if the position's been filled or not. It actually shows when they hire someone, it tells you that someone's been hired, so you know not to kind of waste your time applying to it. But most people get back to you within 12 hours, and you're starting that day. Every employer I've ever had paid me the very next day. I work that night when I wake up in the morning. Takes 2-3 business days to clear. So realistically, you could have money as little as 5 days if you get a job. The day you did, within 5 days, you could have money in your account.
I think that's cool. So for anyone that's listening right now that wants kind of the quickest way to start making money online, I would definitely recommend going this route. Go on oDesk, see what skills you have. But obviously, this isn't something that you'd want to do forever, right?
No. While I can write quickly, and I think that's one of my skills. I can kind of fluff things up. I make that kind of stuff, but I hate writing. I don't like it. Just everyone kind of can do things that they they don't like for a certain time. And I realize right now that as I'm doing like these articles, I do 5 articles a day right now just to kind of, keep the money coming in, but I can just feel myself starting to hate it more and more each day. And so I'm hoping, by the time I get to Chiang Mai that this will kind of be done, but who knows?
So let's go back to your dropshipping stores, because that is basically the end goal, is to have that built up where, it could be, pretty much semi-passive income. I mean, when you got your first sale, it was how many months ago? How many months after you started Anton's course did it take?
If I remember correctly, I think I got a sale in October, like the end of October.
Okay.
But with my stores, I've never done anything with websites before. I personally feel like I know computers very well, but I can't. And so I actually really messed up my first store, and I still got a sale. And it's the same store I have now. Once I corrected everything, it's the store that's been on track, $2,000-$3,000 a month profit.
Nice. You cut off for a second. What did you say was the major problem? How did you mess up the store?
Yeah, I messed it up the first time. So I've actually had to fix this particular store. This is the store I've had from day one.
Okay.
I stuck with it. I messed up. I've had to shut down this store twice to redo everything. Just complete major overhauls. The first time was because I got confused with the UPC codes, the SKU numbers, and the MP numbers.
Okay.
And so there's a very specific way to put all that information in. Mm-hmm. So, obviously Google Shopping can read it correctly. I had basically every number wrong so that my item was not showing up with my other, against my competition.
Oh, that makes sense. So for those who don't know what these acronyms stand for, first don't worry about it, because I didn't know what any of these stood for before either. Like UPC is those the barcode on an item. MPN stands for manufacturer's part number. I mean, did you know any of this stuff before you started the store?
No, not at all.
I would say, don't have that be a deterrent, but learn from our mistakes. I mean, if you sign up for Anton's method, do look at Michael's thread and, say, okay, you know what, I won't mess this part up.
Yeah. And the thing that made it a little more difficult for me is the very first supplier I got sent me 1,200 products.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, if you get a CSV of 1,200, you've never seen these numbers before. It's I was so gung ho. I finished the CSV that night, in one sitting, but the problem is I did the whole thing wrong. And so I probably, now looking back on it, I should have just asked some a little bit of guidance, on the CSV. But that whole store was listed completely wrong, and like I said, I still got a sale. I think within 6 weeks of starting my store up.
That's still very cool. So for those who don't know, a CSV is basically an Excel file that has all of the product descriptions. So let's say, you're selling laptops, not that you would, but, it would just have all the different part numbers, all the different models, and a description, an Excel spreadsheet. So you can just upload it straight away to your store. What I would actually recommend people do is, especially for their first store, just to manually upload products in the beginning. It takes a lot longer, but then you can really learn the process. And I really feel like the reason why I did well is because I put in that sweat equity. I stayed up and I manually uploaded 100 products, and you don't mess up as much when you're uploading things manually one by one, because you start thinking, okay, am I doing this correctly? But after that, I would say for future suppliers, future stores, after you've learned that process, then definitely, take the shortcut, and do the one-click upload with a CSV file.
Yeah, and I would say the nice thing about the CSV file is if you have a great supplier, it's the fact that they put images in the CSV file. And so when you upload it, you automatically have, 4 or 5, great photos for your site. You don't have to go Google for them. That personally is always a nice thing. I've only had one supplier do it, but I know quite a few people who luck out and they get that all the time.
So I would say the pros and cons of that, it's definitely great to get started faster, but also remember that it makes it easier for other people to do that as well. So sometimes it's actually better to have a supplier who's a pain in the butt that doesn't give you anything, and because then there's a huge barrier to entry. So if someone else, thought about selling this product, it's first off, you're going to have unique images, you're going to have unique descriptions, and I mean, even getting back to the hotel descriptions, a lot of people, are wondering why these sites will pay you to write a unique description when they could just copy and paste it from the hotel. But the reason for that is because Google likes to see unique written descriptions, and that's how you basically show up on the first page.
Without a doubt. And I think that's definitely, so what I personally did is, I didn't really know that when I first started. And as I was reading through the forums, I figured that out. That's something people learn quickly. I hired a VA to go through every single product I had, and they rewrote the description.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Because of that. Because I did the whole mass CSV file, but if I had just manually did it myself like you did, I would have maybe taken a little bit longer, but it probably would have been done correctly, and I definitely wouldn't be paying someone else to go and do it for me afterwards.
But so your VA, your virtual assistant, what country are they from?
I actually just got rid of her, but her work kind of dropped off recently. But the best place I've found is from the Philippines, without a doubt. And the reason for that is because their English and writing is light years ahead of almost anybody you could find, from India or other kind of countries like that where you can get cheap labor.
But it's still pretty cheap. I mean, like, what do you pay her an hour? What were you paying her?
Oh, I actually think it's cheaper. I paid her 40 hours of work a week. I paid her $50.
What?
Yeah, I know. I told Anton that too. He couldn't believe it.
That is insane. So what is that per hour?
I don't know, $1.15 maybe.
That is insanely cheap.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's what she started off at, and she would have stayed at that. I personally, I couldn't handle that. Bringing in a decent amount of money, and I was like, I'm $200 a month for hours of work. Like, it wasn't sitting well with me. Mm-hmm. And so I had moved her up to, I think I moved her up to 85 recently, because I had 4 months recently, just before I let her go. And, but yeah, I moved her up to 85, and she was so grateful for that. That was like the biggest blessing ever or something. And it was nothing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and you know what's really cool about this? I remember when I hired my first employee, I actually hired my first one off of oDesk.
Okay.
And then, I felt nice. I mean, because she was this, old lady. I think she was in her 60s, and she was divorced and, basically working out of her home office, not really having any jobs because nobody would hire her because she didn't have any experience. And, I was paying her quite a bit for answering my calls and doing a lot of my customer service, mainly because I was traveling and I didn't want to do anything myself. And I wanted a native English speaker to really train and grow with me. And I'm actually kind of happy that she found a full-time job because she wasn't very good. Yeah, so I hired this oDesk lady because I wanted to travel and not really do any work, so I was willing to pay her a lot more money because she's from the U.S. and she had she was a native English speaker, and I was kind of hoping that I can groom her into an employee to really just take over the business. And fortunately, she actually got another job somewhere else full time. And the new person I hired from Washington, also in the U.S., so much better and actually half the price. So paying them more isn't always a good thing. But
for sure.
I do agree. I would feel bad paying someone $1.15 an hour as well.
Yeah, and the hard thing is that the good thing was it was some of the most intelligent questions I've ever had asked me by this Filipino VA. And what I actually did is I actually just sent her a video on YouTube about how to do a CSV file. And I told her, I said, watch this. I sent her a CSV file of 500 products, and she finished it within 5 hours. Just from watching a video and giving her something to do, and she was done. And I was sold right there.
That's cool because I never want to have to do my own CSV files. So it's nice being able to know I could pay someone $5 or $10 and just have them do it for me and not have to think about it.
Yep.
All right. So your dropshipping stores, how many sales are you making per week now on average?
At my high, I was almost at a sale a day. I was at 6 a week. I'm sorry. Right now, I'm fluctuating between like 3 to 5. I'd say 4, but I'm between 3 to 5 a week. These last 2 days, for example, I've had a sale each day. But today I've had 2 add to carts, 1 person reach checkout, but no luck yet on that sale.
Okay, but you know what? That's not bad. That's definitely somewhere to celebrate. I would say the next big level would be to definitely get on average 1 sale a day. Do you think it's because you need to get more traffic, you need to optimize your store for conversions, or is the niche just kind of maxed out?
I think personally that I have to optimize my site a little better. As I said earlier, my AdWords traffic was like at 80 to $100 a day. I've cut down, and I was averaging like 180 people a day. And my personal belief is just if you have 50 visitors, you should be able to get a sale.
Yes.
If your site is optimized, I think converting at 2% is maybe higher than the average. I think 1% might be the average, but I don't think that's unreasonable. And so when I was getting 180 people a day and no sales, I was like, I'm obviously doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I cut back on top a couple of those collections where I thought about maybe I should just cut it out completely because I'd be in a profit. But because I do have the oDesk job, I didn't want to give up too soon in case it happened to be a great niche to be in. And so my AdWords are now down to $35 a day. I dropped a couple clicks down to like 15 cents a click, that cheap. And I'm still averaging about 90 to 110 visitors a day.
Okay. And we could definitely get that, that percentage up. I'll take a look at your site again later today when I have time, because I could definitely see you getting 2% conversions. That's what I get 2% or higher for all my stores now. And really that's after optimizing it and doing everything. For anyone that has a dropshipping store already, you can check out optimizelikeaboss.com. That's the video course that I did, basically showing an example of some of the stores I have and what I do to my stores to optimize for conversions.
Yeah, and I actually don't have your course, but I'm in a mastermind group where I think I'm the only person without it, and everyone cannot rave enough about the very in-depth videos you go through. So I would highly recommend it as well, just because I know a couple of very close DSL members who are having success with their stores, and they credit that course quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm really glad that they are getting success for it, because that's actually the only marketing we do. This is probably one of the first times I've mentioned on the podcast. It's mainly because, I don't want someone going to buy it if they don't have a store yet at all, or they just started. I want them just to follow Anton method, and because that's how I learned, and that's how you learned. So we know how, that's what works. So I don't really even want people finding Optimize Like a Boss until they've made some sales and they're like, okay, now I know this works. Now that I know I'm making money, how can I take it one step further?
Yeah, for sure. And I think if anyone is really serious about growing their business, however you decide to reinvest your profits back into your business, it could be getting your course, it could be increasing your AdWords budget. Trying out new marketing techniques. I think I would just really, really recommend it just to see how big you can get this thing,
Yeah, so realistically, you can make these stores into whatever you want them to be. For people like me who value their time and location independence and being able to travel, I'm happy making $5,000 a month. There's no way I'm going to spend more than that. Even $3,000 a month, I'm perfectly happy with. For a person like Michael that has a family, I could definitely see you wanting, more than 3,000, at least 5,000 a month, just so you can do whatever you want, live in nice places. But for some people, there's actually a guy in New York who he doesn't care about traveling at all. And he doesn't care about, the location independence. He just wants to make as much money as he can. So what he does is he has 10 niche stores.
Nice.
Which takes forever. I think he works at least 8 hours. He probably works like 10 hours a day running these stores, but he's making a killing. So I would say at the end of the day, it's a benefit of having a dropshipping store that you can be location independent, you can travel, and you can, have location arbitrage, but you can basically do whatever you want with it.
For sure, and I think the nice thing too is like my personal store, I think you asked that what I kind of think if I capped out or not. I don't think this store will break 7,000 a month. I just don't think it's that home run store. It's going to be bringing me, six figures, $20,000 a month. I don't think it's that store, but I do think 5 to 7,000 is completely realistic. And with that, I mean, if you decide to start up other stores and whatnot, and maybe that store is only making $1,500 or maybe $1,000, but it's still profit. Then with the big store, $5,000, $7,000, you can choose what you want to do with that store. Do you maybe just want to sell it off for, a quick profit? Do you want to, just stop doing it all completely because it's not worth your time? Maybe you want to invest and try and find another home run store. But just finding that one store to get to that, whatever kind of income you're looking to have, you can make so many more decisions based on once you reach there.
I think for a lot of people listening to this, I mean, they haven't, I would say most people on the forums that really follow your threads, are just starting to make their first sales. So your mastermind that you're in, how many people are in that?
There are 6, but I think one has to leave just because she's going to India. So we'll be down to 5.
Okay. And out of those 6 people, how many of them are actually making sales already?
They're all making sales, but I think only one other person has like a pretty profitable store. But all of them they've all made sales. It's not like they're waiting to make one or anything like that. It was a good group of people.
Okay. I think that's cool. And how did you guys all meet?
Oh, just through the forums. It was actually, I don't know, it kind of started off like almost like someone was joking around about starting one up or something. And somehow I got kind of like led to be like the kind of ringleader of the group, kind of organized it together. And once they got together, I've actually learned a lot from a mastermind group. If you can get a small group of people, especially with people with different kind of skills, like we have one person who's great in SEO, we have another who's a great coder. If everyone can kind of bring different things to the table, you end up learning so much. And each of our mastermind chats, for example, we've had 3. We have one not this Thursday, next Thursday coming up. We try to do one every 2 weeks. But every single one so far has gone past 2 hours.
Wow.
2.5 hours. I've had to kind of like, I got stuff to do. This is too long. We'll carry it over.
So you guys just do it over like Skype or Google Hangouts?
We use Google Hangouts just because we share some of the documents through the Google Drive. Mm-hmm. And I guess the screen share is a little bit easier on Google Hangouts. And so we do that as well.
Okay. And do you share your niches openly with all these guys in the group?
I was very reluctant just because of what happened before, with my old business. But after just kind of getting to know them all, I shared it, I opened it up. For those who are not as, trusting or whatnot, the thing we did talk about, and the fact that everyone kind of agreed to it, I just kind of went with it, was, but we never actually executed it, was we all agreed to sign non-compete clauses. Mm-hmm. For 5 to 7 years or whatever, if we want to show the stores, just to legally keep us, safe and stuff. But it never came to that point. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, for those who haven't really gotten to this stuff, I mean, the reason why we don't like to openly talk about what our niches are is just because we want people to think for themselves and get into their own niches. Because I mean, literally, there are 1 million different niches in the world, and as many people who have shared their niches with me or given me like lists of ideas that they're thinking about starting, every time I see new ideas that I never would have thought of on my own, and and there's absolutely no reason to try to try to compete with someone else, and I think that's kind of like a very low level thinking. I think those people might make a couple sales here and there, but I don't think any of them will actually ever really be successful if they had the mentality where they just want to leech off someone or piggyback off someone.
Yeah, and I'd have to completely agree with that. On top of that, I mean, if this one person who's, if you're trying to jump into that niche and they kind of probably already have somewhat of a grasp on it, and you're trying to jump in after them, after they've established themselves, after they're higher in the Google rankings, after their website obviously has to look pretty good because they're converting. While they're making sales, it doesn't mean that just by trying to jump in and take some of the sales from them, you will as well.
Yeah, and a lot of them have relationships with suppliers. For some of the the suppliers I've had for a year that I made consistent sales for, I saw, sites pop up trying to compete and try to, and really just trying to copy my store. I just basically called my supplier and said, hey, like these guys are, basically just trying to leech off my business. Is there something we can do about it? And they say, yeah, we can basically give you better pricing and them worse pricing.
Nice.
And because of that, I'm making more money now. So even if they do, let's say they might leech 1 out of 10 sales off of me, their ad prices are going to be so high and their margins are going to be so low that I guarantee within a month or two they're going to look at it and they're like, why am I even in this niche? It's wasting my time. And
it's not worth it.
Exactly. So I definitely encourage people to really think outside of the box. And when you're doing your niche research, have the mentality of thinking, okay, what kind of unique value can I bring to this industry? And because I do believe that market timing is a huge plus. And I think one of the reasons why some of my stores are doing well is because when I got into those niches, all the websites, all the competition, sucked. There was literally one that didn't have an online ordering system.
Wow.
If you wanted to order a product, you had to print out a form and fax it in.
Jeez. You have a great niche.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When I saw that, I was like, look, if I just make it so they could check out online, why wouldn't people buy from me instead? Now, you're not always going to find that. I mean, sure, there's not that many stores doing that anymore, but there are. I mean, I still think the market timing is good. I mean, I'm sure if we got into dropshipping 5 years ago, it would have been even better. But
Yep.
right now, the people in your group, how long have they been doing it?
One has been before me. The other 2 started around the same time me, and then the last 2 are maybe 3 to 4 months, not that long.
Okay, and they've been able to have some success, so it is still a good time to get into it. Have you met any of these guys in person yet?
I have not. I'm going to meet 4 of them at the retreat, and so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be kind of cool to see, not just to see people on a video call, but actually see people face to face and get to hang out a little bit, talk a little more business. But really looking forward to the retreat. I think it's gonna be great.
So the retreat is the dropship lifestyle retreat in Thailand. It's basically, Anton had announced it on one of the previous podcasts, and he was going to make it basically free for the first X amount of members. Now it's not free anymore, and the main reason for that is because he's booking the conference room, and he just needed to know how many people were coming, so he didn't want people signing up last minute. But I think it's actually a great idea where if someone's just starting now, that they should just have that be a goal. They should just say to themselves, okay, before October, let me just make enough money from the store where I can just pay for a trip to Thailand, and not worry if it costs $300 or $500.
Oh, for sure. And I was actually surprised because on the forum, quite a few of the new members are buying the course, buying your course, and buying the retreat, like all as one big package. And that kind of blew me away. I wasn't used to seeing that, but it's good that they're so excited. It gives them something to strive for, definitely.
I definitely think that ever since Anton announced the Thailand retreat, it's lit a fire under everyone's asses.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. They don't want to be the one not there.
Yeah, and they don't want to be the one that not there and they don't want to come and not have made sales already. They want to come there with money that they made from their stores.
I mean, exactly. And that's, my goal personally at the time, and I've had to kind of tweak my goals again because this one store's got out of control with ad costs. But my goal was to have 5 stores running smoothly at a profit to take there. So whatever I learn at the retreat, it's not going to just increase, my one store's sales, double or get double the traffic or whatever different kind of, keynote speakers, whatever we learn there. But the fact that I could apply this to 5 stores across the board and just who knows how much increase my profit, 5 times, 10 times my monthly profit. That was kind of my goal. And so now I've brought that down to, I'm looking for at like 3 stores to have just going smoothly when I get there.
I think that 3 is the magic number. Anything more than that, it's people don't really focus on them. Even for me personally, I mean, at one point I had 5 stores, but I just basically got rid of the 2 that weren't making as many, basically not worth my time. Anything that's
Yep.
not making, more than $1,000 a month, I don't want to focus on them because, I'd rather grow my main store and then like my two, I call them like satellite stores, things that I don't mentally focus on, but I just have them there in case one day, I have free time and I want to work on them and try to get some extra sales from them. But it's one of those things where if whatever you focus your time on, your energy on, and that's what's going to make you money.
Oh, for sure. And that's something that where, I've even thought about. I've tried to mention this to my friends to get them to do it as well. And it's so incredibly hard to get them, to think outside of their day jobs or whatnot. Once you kind of get locked into that routine. And, I've even thought as far as hiring like a person or two to create more stores from me and pay them very well doing so. So if they want that, that they have that need to be that 8 hours a day, steady paycheck type of worker, great. How can I benefit from that while still, helping pay them and give them the life they want as well?
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, especially once you establish, you kind of, you know the routine and you know what needs to be done. I mean, I easily pay someone, let's say they wanted to move out to Chiang Mai with you to be, basically an intern or an assistant. I mean,
Yep.
Even if you paid them $1,000 a month, they can live decently well out here. And then you can give them maybe a 10% stake in the company as well, where they can get 10% of the profits. That way they have an incentive to work harder. And at the end of the day, they can easily make, $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And they know that, they have a guaranteed income to pay their rent and pay their flight and their food and everything. But, there's really just kind of building your stores work for you.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing I was also thinking, if besides like a stake in the company, if you really wanted to sweeten the deal, if you have someone, making you two new stores a month or even one store a month. And so at the end of a year, you have 12 stores running. Why not sell off a store like what Anton talks about, sell off a single store, once you have that 12 set up. So one store goes out for a sale and for profit instantly. A new store comes in with the person you hired, and give them 10-15% of that sale. Just even think of it as a bonus.
Yeah,
they get a bonus every month,
and that's
for
great.
Working so hard for you. Yeah,
and that's like a $5,000 bonus every time you sell a store.
Yeah, it's not a small bonus.
That that is a great idea. When you come out here and you make that happen, I would love to sit down with you for another interview and figure out what I'll say the big picture is. But as far as people, getting started, don't dream too big right now.
Oh yeah. Focus on one store. Yeah.
But know that the possibilities out there. I would say 100%. If I was gonna suggest to someone, the steps to do is if you dream about having a location independent business or lifestyle and you want to come to a place like Chiang Mai or really anywhere in the world, and you have a full-time job right now and you're worried about about the instability of it, I would say quit your job right now. I mean, just turn or get yourself fired so you can get unemployment.
Yeah.
Go on oDesk, start making 50 or $100 a day, doing freelance jobs online and get used to being working out of a coffee shop, or if you want, you can, as soon as you start making money, you can move out literally right away, as long as you're making $1,000 a month. There's no reason to stay there. And with your free time, go work on Anton's course, work on the dropshipping stores, and you'll continue to make money doing freelance jobs through oDesk while building your stores. And eventually, after 3 months or 6 months, you can stop doing the freelance jobs, stop trading your time for money, and stop writing for other people and making them money, and you can just work on your businesses.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, I know if I've tried to come out to Chiang Mai, multiple times, I kept kind of getting a hiccup every now and then, especially with the family. And I just found that, the more you kind of wait, the more just reasons and excuses that pop up to why you can't go out there. And, lucky enough for me, lucky or unlucky, it had some family things happen where it opened up the opportunity to come out there. And I mean, I just got my ticket 2 days ago, so I'll actually be there July 10th.
Oh,
and my
congratulations,
family will be,
buddy. That's fast from now.
Yeah, yeah. It's I was planning on. Well, I was going to try to go to Europe with you guys, but after thinking it through, I just thought I'd rather, give my family like whatever they wanted. We want to eat out, we want to live in a great, nice place. I'd rather spend that money there on them, with them, than traveling Europe. I'll be able to see you guys when you guys get back to Chiang Mai, but yeah, my ticket is July 10th. I'll be out there, and my family will be joining me. About a month later, my girlfriend and my daughter are going to go head up to Ohio to see her parents because they haven't got to see their grandchild in a while. Mm-hmm. And but they'll be joining me in August, and we'll be there till December at least.
That is awesome, man. That is almost 6 months of living abroad, and I guarantee you after that you're going to start reconsidering. You're like, well, do I really have a reason to move back?
Oh, for sure. I mean, and I think that kind of bug is kind of getting my girlfriend a little bit. She's like, well, what if we just love it there? Maybe we stay there and what if we go travel to the other parts of Southeast Asia? What's in Vietnam or Cambodia? And she wants to see all these things. I was, she was the one who was most hesitant at first. And now I think it's really kind of opening her eyes and she's becoming pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and I definitely see it's once you start making plans for it, and she sees that you not only do you have a profitable dropshipping store, but you also have a backup plan with oDesk. Yep. Now she doesn't really see any reason not to just make the jump. What the thing I would recommend is, even if you think you're going to be going back in December, have your life back in Hawaii. So kind of designed so you don't have to go back if you don't want to. So I don't know if you're planning on getting rid of your lease, or do you guys rent or own right now?
It ends this month. That's why we're leaving.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. So just don't have any attachments, don't have any real reasons to have to go back, and that way you have all the freedom in the world.
For sure, and I actually want to recommend this to anyone listening to this. I know you have to get a visa, the Thai visas, the double or triple entry. Mm-hmm. I think you go to LA for yours. Hawaii on Oahu has a Thai consulate. It is supposed to be like the easiest place to get a triple entry visa.
Oh, nice.
And so I actually just applied for it. I should get mine back in the next 7 days. They take to process it. But from everything I talked with on top of the lady at the Thai consulate, she said triple visas are a piece of cake from Hawaii. So if anyone's looking for that, I know it's a little bit out of the way and whatnot, but you can get that no problem. Where I've heard some people have harder times getting more than a double visa.
Yeah, and you can do it through mail as well. So even if you live in New York, you can just mail it over.
Yep, exactly.
I like it. Thanks so much for the advice, Michael. That's super cool that you're on the show. I look forward to having another podcast with you once you're actually settled in Chiang Mai, and I'm excited you're coming out here, buddy. I mean, you're definitely a huge success story and great inspiration and motivation to other people.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me on here, and thank you for just you helping me out, especially when I started, and Anton just creating this course. If anyone's has any doubts, check out the course. You won't be disappointed. Yeah, and that's at antonmethod.com, or you can just go to the recommended resources page on either my blog, johnnyfd.com, or travellikeabosspodcast.com. This is episode, what did I say it was, 36? We'll have show notes and links to everything. If you do end up signing up for the course or for Shopify or anything, I would appreciate it if you guys did it through my link in the recommend resources page so I can get credit for it. All right, and that's about it, buddy. Anything else you want to shout out, or do you have a blog or anything that you're starting up? We actually are starting a blog. Haven't decided on the name yet, but we think it's going to be traveling abroad in diapers.
I like it.
Yeah, and so there's quite a few blogs, obviously, about I think more single men or women traveling throughout the overseas, but not that much stuff out there for families, and so just a unique perspective on all the kind of trips and whatnot that we'll be taking to throughout our time in Southeast Asia.
Okay, cool. And we'll keep an eye out for that. And for those guys who are part of Anton's course or are going to sign up for it, take a look for Michael's thread on the forums. It's currently 255 threads long, and it's called My Progress So Far, started by Michael Coghlan September 2nd, and still going strong today.
Yeah, like 8,000 views or something.
Nice. All right, peace out, guys. Mike, thanks for being on the show.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.